Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. This is The Mystery Revealed. There is a part of history that can be of enormous importance to many things that have happened, but not many know. The 18th and 19th century French general and ruler, Napoleon Bonaparte, who conquered and controlled most of Western Europe, slept in the chamber of the king of the Great Pyramid of Egypt. He told everyone that he wanted to do this, and that it was absolutely necessary. But after spending the night, when he came out of the pyramid to sunlight, he was completely pale. People asked him what had happened in there, what had happened during the night. And he answered, "Even if I told you, you would never believe me." This is one of the greatest mysteries in history, one of the most important characters over time, and we don't know why he wanted to spend a night there, nor what happened on that night that possibly had an important impact on Napoleon's life. All this began on August 2nd, of 1799, Napoleon decided to spend a night alone inside the Great Pyramid. He placed himself inside the sarcophagus located in the king's chamber. The king's chamber that those who visit say it has a special energy, something that feels different. Something mystical. Napoleon spent the whole night there. The next day when he came out, he seemed baffled, his skin was pale. His soldiers asked him what had happened inside during the night. But nobody expected Napoleon's answer. He said, "Even if I told you, you would never believe it." He left his soldiers frightened and breathless, and they never mentioned this subject again. What happened that night is a total mystery. He didn't mention anything to anyone during his life, not even to his biographers. Why and where did Napoleon get the idea of sleeping inside the Great Pyramid? It all began a year before, since Napoleon had a great interest in deeply knowing Egypt and its history. For this reason, when he arrived in Alexandria in 1978, he established the Egyptian Institute. The Egyptian Institute, which had 167 sages, would be responsible for studying in depth ancient Egypt, deciphering artifacts, studying the pyramids and all the possible mysteries hidden in this place. Through the studies carried out by the Egyptian Institute, they discovered certain very impressive things. First, they discovered that the measures of the pyramids are exact fractions of the Earth. This means that in ancient Egypt they knew the dimensions of the planet, and a knowledge that cannot be explained. They discovered that, by using these proportions in the dimensions of the pyramid, they could build the most perfect and stable walls possible. In addition to this, the Egyptian Institute mentioned as a hypothesis that the king's chamber was not a tomb, as everyone believed at the time. They said it was a universal measurement pattern intended to keep a very important and ancient knowledge, as if the sarcophagus were a key piece of something much larger. It is worth mentioning that the position of the sarcophagus in the king's chamber has been changed, and this may change the way it worked. Napoleon's experience is a mystery, and we will never know what happened to him in there that night. But Napoleon is not the only one who has spent a night inside the Great Pyramid. There are other historical characters who have also slept there. Let's look at who they were and what happened to them. One of them is Bob Brier, who is also known as Mr. Mummy, is an American Egyptologist, specialized in paleopathology. Among the many studies he has carried out, he has studied some very ancient texts of religious character, which were found in a tomb of the 5th dynasty, that is 2,500 years before Christ, some texts called the texts of the pyramids. The intriguing thing about these texts is what is found in their content, and how it describes the functionality of the pyramids. He describes the pyramids as resurrection machines that work in 3 steps. The first step refers to awakening the dead within the pyramid. The second step is the ascension of the newly awakened dead to heaven. And the last stage is to facilitate their journey to the gods. In short, it defines the pyramid as a method of connecting the dead to the gods, or so it seems to say. There is another character who had the opportunity to spend a night inside the Great Pyramid. He is Raphael Hirst, or as most know him, Paul Brunton, his pseudonym. He was a British writer, who had the opportunity and privilege to spend a night in the king's chamber in the pyramid. From this lived experience, he writes a book called Egypt's Secret. In this book he describes his experience sleeping in this mysterious place. Within the book he mentions the following. Every hour that passed, the reality was deforming, the smell, the silence and the darkness, mixed with the lack of air. The isolation was so great that I began to have hallucinations of bodily presences that walked in front of me and seemed to indicate two things to me. The first was the granite sarcophagus, as if they wanted me to get inside. And the second, a chamber, a hidden chamber that has never been found. It is impressive to see this experience, this man's detailed description of what he lived. There is one question we have to ask ourselves. Napoleon lived something similar to what Paul Brunton lived inside the pyramid. Or he lived something different, perhaps something much more shocking. For this we have no answer. And we will never have it. Is a mystery that will not have an answer, but what we can be sure, is that the night that Napoleon spent in the chamber of the king of the Great Pyramid, changed his life, transformed it, and he considered it a secret that took to the tomb with him. This is The Mystery Revealed. Remember to subscribe if you like our videos. See you in our next video.